Hello, Diane here, and working on another video response. Found out how to get my tablet to cooperate with this, which is much easier than the phone, so that's something. This is last week's readings because we didn't have a video response due last week because we had a paper. And the bonus to me for that is that this does not have to be kept as short, which is good because this whole keeping it to 2 minutes thing is challenging to say the least, as I'm already at 36 seconds. So the readings for this week were, they're listed below here on the blog, and the depression rating scale article actually mainly annoyed me because it did something that a lot of studies do. And it looked at gay and bisexual men together and then made all sorts of generalizations based on gay-specific interventions. So you're not looking at any between group differences when you actually included two distinct orientations specifically in your study. So perhaps that was the point to having us read that study, was just to have us see where that sampling problem and analysis problem was. I had a hard time figuring out how that fit into the validity versus reliability, other than the follow-up article was specifically about the Beck Depression Inventory, which had been used in that study. Of course, the Beck Depression Inventory, very hard to actually get hold of because you're supposed to have to pay to use it, but the internet being what it is, you can find the questions. And so the discussion in the McDowell article about the different iterations of the Beck Depression Inventory that have existed and how good they are. It was an interesting discussion. I did find it interesting that the main criticism of the somatic component in the Beck Depression Inventory was that you might misdiagnose people as depressed when in fact they simply have pain. This was in 1996. Now we know that pain and depression do tend to go together. Chicken and egg situation. Is this person depressed because they have chronic pain, or are they having chronic pain because they're clinically depressed? And ultimately, since we now also know that certain antidepressants work on certain types of chronic pain, as far as treatment, the answer may be completely moot. Who cares which caused which, as long as we have something that fixes both, or hopefully fixes both. For a researcher, of course, that's a whole different question, because if I don't know which caused which, then how do I know what I'm evaluating? And in fact, if I'm evaluating whether SNRIs are treating depression and the relief of pain is a result of that, or whether they're treating the pain and the relief of depression is a result of the pain being relieved, or if the same chemical imbalances that are causing the depression are also causing the pain, so it's just treating both at the same time. It's really hard to see how you would be able to sort that out. The two chapters from the book on health measurement scales spent a lot of time talking about how health measurement scales are problematic and why it's so difficult to construct them and have validity, meaning that you're actually measuring what you think you're measuring, and reliability, meaning that you get the same results over and over again. I'm more interested in what it had to say about the validity piece, because if in fact our research group is going to be validating a new measurement instrument, then that's the piece that I'm going to have the most practical use for in the immediate future. Reading the examples on construct validity, sure, you could test whether your you've developed the first blood glucose measurement system ever back in the 1920s, and you have nothing to validate that against. So what you're going to have to do is say, well, here's my hypothesis. If this works, then the numbers I get for people who are clinically diagnosed as diabetic should be higher than on those who are not. And if I give somebody insulin, that should bring the number down. That's a nice concrete example. If you're looking at, does this workplace climate scale accurately portray whether the climate at a specific workplace is conducive to being able to be being comfortable at work as an LGBT employee. What are you going to compare? Are you going to compare known horrifically bigoted workplaces with other workplaces that are experienced as being less horrifically bigoted? So are you going to have to not only apply the scale, but also apply some other instrument that measures how employees who fit this description feel about this employer? I have no idea. I'm new to this, so I look forward to finding that out. But it was interesting to at least read that bit about how to get construct validity when you have a brand new instrument measuring something that nothing else out there is in existence to measure that you know of. I mean, the closest thing in this instance would be the HRC's, whatever their index is, which I think is what the scale was based off of in the first place. So one would hope you get validity between those two instruments, but they're not intended for the same type of use. So yeah, that's what I've got for this batch of readings. And I need to fix the lighting issue in here apparently, but at least figured out the camera issue, and yeah, so that's it for now. I'll get this week's readings done sometime between now and 5 o'clock Eastern Time on Friday, because that's when this is going to be due. Have a good few days. Bye.